Granby family shares how the community is coming together to help them get through the loss of their home. Plus, the Joplin Fire Department offers tips on the safest ways to charge electronics and new details on the Christmas Day explosion in Nashville.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities are investigating a fatal crash in Ottawa County. This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Kate Kelly. Oklahoma Highway Patrol says the crash happened a little after 2 a.m. on County Road 565, about 2 miles north of Commerce. Troopers are still trying to determine what caused the crash. The driver was pronounced dead at the scene. The victim's name is being withheld at this time. A Granby, Missouri family is struggling with the loss of their home after a fire just a few days before Christmas. They say on Tuesday afternoon, a volunteer fireman and neighbor noticed smoke coming from their home. He helped Dan and Virginia Black safely evacuate along with 2 children and 3 other family members living in the basement. Officials are still working out the cause of the fire, but in the meantime, the family is feeling thankful they made it out together. On Christmas Day, community members dropped off toys, clothes, and a holiday meal.
It's just amazing how many people have come by and brought stuff. We don't know all their names because there were so many.
The family is staying at the Boonslick Lodge in Neosho, but looking for a rental property till they can have a new place set up on their land. If you'd like to help, please give Virginia a call at 417-346-7465. Tonight at 10, we'll hear more from Virginia and her husband, Dan. As we wrap up this Christmas season, many families are enjoying new electronics, toys, and gaming systems, but those can be a fire hazard if you're not careful. The Joplin Fire Department says it happens year-round where electronics are mishandled, resulting in an electrical fire in the home. They say the biggest thing to watch out for is when you're charging your devices. Smaller electronics take longer to cool down. They say not to charge anything on a surface that could retain the heat of the device, as that could start a fire. The best place to charge an item is on a hard, flat surface.
Some of your older houses, they weren't designed for as many electronics as we have today, so make sure you're not plugging too many things into one circuit, and really it's just important to keep everything where it has room to get the air to keep the item cool.
Captain Job added that going into January and colder months, their biggest fire safety tip is to watch your heaters that are plugged in inside your home. Nick Kelly joins us now with our first look at weather. Definitely a chilly day, but the sunshine helped.
It certainly helped us out, Kay. Certainly after a cold Christmas day the other day, so we enjoyed temperatures pushing into the 60s actually this afternoon, with some cloud cover trying to sneak in from the northwest. That's ahead of a cold front on the way for tomorrow, but I think we'll keep things dry, even with that cloud cover sneaking in for the evening ahead of us. In fact, temperatures still look okay. Most spots mainly in the lower to middle 50s. We're already seeing a few spots around the Veda and Stockton Lakes dropping back into the upper 40s, but it's all about that southwest wind that's been keeping us a little warmer, certainly compared to yesterday, out of the south at 5 to 15 miles per hour. That means we won't get too cold tonight. Most spots around Joplin in the lower to middle 40s, some mid-30s possible northwest of Joplin. So a cool to cold night, but we have some interesting weather in the days to come. Kate, we'll break down what to expect as we wrap up the year coming up in a bit.
All right, thanks, Nick. Investigators have at least one person of interest in the Christmas morning explosion in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Governor Bill Lee asked the White House on Saturday for federal assistance due to the severity and magnitude of the explosion's impact. At least 41 buildings were damaged. Communication systems, including residential and cell phone service and 911 call centers, failed across the state. CBS News correspondent Jesse Mitchell has the latest from Nashville.
A law enforcement source told CBS News at least one person of interest has been identified in connection with the recreational vehicle that exploded Christmas morning in downtown Nashville. Multiple sources confirm that Anthony Quinn Warner, a Nashville area resident, had a similar make and model RV as the one in photos released to the public. Warner was described as a 63-year-old white man. On Saturday, federal agents were at the address listed to Warner. Just before the blast, officers found the RV parked with its windows covered outside an AT&T transmission building. An audio warning of an imminent bomb blared from the vehicle just before the explosion.
You can hear this message. Evacuate now.
The FBI says around 500 tips have come in as investigators comb through the crime scene.
We are starting from the outermost perimeter of the crime scene and working our way inward.
It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle created by a bomb that throws pieces of evidence across multiple city blocks.
The blast, which investigators believe was intentional, damaged dozens of businesses and homes and injured at least 3 people. Communications outages persisted Saturday after the AT&T building also sustained damage. Authorities praised the officers who evacuated people just before the explosion.
Didn't run away from danger, literally ran to danger. I'm quite confident that their actions are part of the reason why there was less cost of life in this heinous act.
The FBI special agent in charge, Doug Korneski, said there is no indication of additional explosive threats. Jesse Mitchell, CBS News, Nashville.
Nashville Mayor John Cooper has enforced a curfew by executive order until Sunday. It covers the downtown area to limit public access around the perimeter of the crime scene, and the Federal Aviation Administration has imposed precautionary flight restrictions for the airspace over the site of the explosion. Police are investigating a homicide in Atkins, Arkansas. The Pope County Sheriff's Office and state police say the murder took place on Christmas Day. Authorities responded to calls about a disturbance at the home and discovered 5 people dead inside. Investigators believe the victims are related. We take this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Master Sergeant Harold Douglas served in the Army from 1943 to 1945, spending time stationed in Europe. He earned several honors, including the American Campaign Medal and a World War II Victory Ribbon. His hometown, Rich Hill, Missouri. We thank you, Harold Douglas, our 4-state hero. To learn about other heroes or to submit a hero of your own anytime, just go to our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. That's news and weather in our first 7 minutes of KOAM News at 6. Coming up, Jennifer Aniston gives a candy shop in Tulsa a boost in business, and new research about pregnant women and COVID-19. Details just ahead. Which face masks make it easiest to hear each other speak, and some promising results in treating a deadly blood cancer. Elise Preston has a look at some of the week's top health stories.
A new drug treatment could significantly improve survival in patients suffering with acute myeloid leukemia. AML is a blood cancer that becomes more common with age, with the majority of older patients dying within 2 years of diagnosis. A global clinical trial showed the drug CC486 produced a 30% improvement in survival for patients over the age of 55. Pregnant women infected with COVID-19 during their 3rd trimester are unlikely to pass the virus to their babies. A study in Boston tracked 64 infected women who gave birth during the spring. None of their newborns tested positive. And because face masks can muffle our speech, a research team at the University of Illinois studied which types block the least sound, trying out everything from medical masks to homemade fabric versions. They found disposable surgical masks offer the best acoustic performance. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Do you have a sweet tooth? It turns out Jennifer Aniston does, and she's using it along with her celebrity status to help out a candy shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Cindy Cohn takes a look.
From peanut butter cups to truffles, Glacier Chocolate in Tulsa has plenty to satisfy any sweet tooth. But business started to turn sour when the pandemic hit.
We were at a point where we didn't even know if we could keep the doors open for, 3 months to 6 months. And luckily we got a second round of PPP. We've gone to curbside. We've really looked at marketing and communicating our products.
Co-owner Isaac Rocha says Glacier's Utica Square location is doing okay, but the downtown location is barely hanging on.
Downtown doesn't have businesses coming in. They don't really have a lot of traffic.
Rocha says the business has been revamping its marketing, adding new products, and being more active online. All that has led to positive results, including a shout out on Instagram from actress Jennifer Aniston.
We weren't expecting that on Christmas Eve, so when we saw the tag, we all, as owners, we started texting each other. We were just so excited. We were tickled pink.
Aniston encouraged her 35 million Instagram followers to support small businesses such as Glacier and putting a spotlight on Tulsa.
She definitely replied to one of our messages and gave us a wink back. So to even get a reply from her was so much fun.
Rocha hopes the shout out leads to sweet success.
The most visible tenant at 4th Street Live will not reopen. Hard Rock Cafe has been closed since the start of the pandemic in March and was vandalized during protests downtown. In a statement, the company said the restaurant's lease expires in 2021 and it will close as a result. But they are open to having another location in the area if they can find the right space. Nick Kelly returns with a full look at your forecast next, and a little later, a notorious Cold War spy dies. We'll have his story and a whole lot more coming up.
Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas day, if not a good Friday overall. In fact, it was quite a difference between 2 days once again. It was appropriately cold for Christmas Day, starting in the lower teens yesterday morning and topping out in the upper 30s. Look at the warm-up that we had today, pushing highs into the mid-60s. Again, that's pretty hard to come by. At the very least, we'll keep things pretty nice for the rest of the weekend. In fact, we're quiet and chilly for your Sunday, despite some partly sunny skies in the forecast. But sticking with Doug's pattern, I'm watching our next storm system that could bring rain and possibly some wintry weather our way by the time we hit Tuesday and Wednesday. Then beyond that, we're definitely looking to stay cold as we wrap up 2020 and kick off 2021 by the time we get next Friday underway. From the station's rooftop looking outside, we are dark, but we are seeing at least quiet skies in general. 55 in Joplin, but you see Old Glory showing a good south wind at 14 miles per hour. Same at the Joplin Regional Airport. Around the rest of the region, we have 53 in Iola, 56 in Miami. Most of us in the mid-50s in general, but you're seeing some upper 40s already popping up around Stockton and Greenfield. And that gives you a hint where most of us will go as we head throughout the course of the evening. We'll fall through the 50s into the upper 40s late tonight, and then we'll eventually bottom out in the lower to middle 40s closer to Joplin, and maybe some middle to upper 30s for our northwestern counties, let's say north and west of Parsons and Fort Scott. In the meantime, let's go back to the maps. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing some cloud cover sneaking in, with a little more trying to come out of north central and central parts of Kansas. That is indicating our next frontal system on the way. We have that warm front lift on through today. That's what helps us get back into the 60s for highs. Then we got a few more cold fronts, one sweeping in tomorrow, another one sweeping in on Monday. That's going to set the stage for our next upper low sitting across the Gulf of Alaska to bring in rain chances and maybe some wintry weather, depending on how temperatures play out by the time we hit Tuesday and Wednesday. But no frightening weather to speak of whatsoever as we head through the rest of the evening, just passing clouds time and again. And that is going to keep us from turning too cold throughout the overnight. Most of us will drop back to around 44 degrees with a south wind at 10 to 15. But as that first front rolls in tomorrow afternoon, we'll go from a southwest wind by noon to a northwest wind for the afternoon. That should bring us a little bit cooler tomorrow, with Joplin topping out around 56. Most of us in the mid-50s tomorrow, but the northwest you go from Joplin, you'll be in the lower to middle 50s because you'll have that cold front come through earlier and that northwest breeze kicking in sooner than the rest of us. Looking quiet for Sunday, though, despite that series of cold fronts starting to roll in. We're quiet Monday, but look out to the west. That upper low starts to kick in. Depending on how fast the moisture works in for Tuesday morning, we could have some freezing rain to start, but it's going to be mainly rain for Tuesday and going into Wednesday. But depending on if there's moisture still around, as temperatures drop rapidly throughout the day on Wednesday, this system could have us a little bit of snow. So nonetheless, it's a system to keep an eye on before we wrap up the year by Thursday and Friday. 56 tomorrow, 41 Monday, lower 50s on Tuesday with that next storm system to watch, Kate. Then we'll just keep things quiet and definitely colder to ring in 2021.
All right, overall, not a bad end to this year, so I'll take it.
Yeah, not bad. And at least we have a decent shot for at least rain and hopefully some snow this time. I got my fingers crossed on that one.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Nick. Don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone, free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Just ahead, details on the new highly infectious strain of COVID-19 in Europe. The world is making adjustments following a new and even more infectious strain of the coronavirus spreading in the United Kingdom and beyond. It comes with nearly 80 million known infections around the world, resulting in at least 1.7 million deaths. Holly Williams has more on the global impact of the pandemic.
There were no crowds in the Vatican's St. Peter's Square yesterday, where normally they gather in their tens of thousands to hear the Pope's Christmas blessing. No worshippers in Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Though they did broadcast this concert recorded in the medieval structure damaged by a fire last year. And here in London, many people felt that Christmas had effectively been cancelled, as we saw earlier this week in the city's commercial heart. The government says the country has entered its worst recession in 300 years.
This is Oxford Street, normally the busiest shopping street in all of Europe. As you can see, it is eerily quiet after a new mutated version of the virus was discovered here in the UK and London went into strict lockdown.
The authorities here said the new strain was more infectious.
A heartbreaking Christmas for millions of people.
Mixing between households, including on Christmas Day, was banned.
For Christians,
Queen Elizabeth gave her traditional Christmas Day message from Windsor Castle, where she's social distancing in splendour.
In the United Kingdom and around the world, people have risen magnificently to the challenges of the year.
But for thousands of truck drivers left stranded on the roadside when France closed its border to the UK, there wasn't much to celebrate, just frustration and anger. For Christians, this festival is a time of hope, symbolised by the birth of the baby Jesus. And amongst the despair and the loneliness, there is hope this Christmas. For billions of people of all faiths, it comes in the form of a vaccine.
Famed former British spy and Soviet Union double agent George Blake died today at the age of 98. Blake was the last in a line of British spies whose secret work for the Soviet Union exposed the identities of hundreds of Western agents across Eastern Europe in the 1950s, some of whom were executed as a result of his treason. His case was among the most notorious of the Cold War, alongside those of a separate ring of British double agents known as the Cambridge Five. Unmasked as a Soviet spy in 1961, Blake was sentenced to 42 years in London's Wormwood Scrubs prison. He later escaped and spent the rest of his life in the Soviet Union and then Russia, where he was viewed as a hero. Australian golfing great Greg Norman has been hospitalized in the United States showing COVID-19 symptoms. Norman, whose two major titles came at the British Open in 1986 and 1993, had earlier tested negative for COVID. But on Friday, he posted a picture on social media of him wearing a mask and lying on a hospital bed saying he had tested positive. His son, also named Greg, confirmed on his social media account that he and his wife had tested positive for COVID-19 and were isolating at home. Norman and his son had played together at last week's Exhibition PNC Championship in Orlando, Florida. A van containing Italy's first batch of coronavirus vaccines arrived at the infectious disease hospital in Rome today. The vaccine, made by German pharmaceutical company BioNTech and American drug maker Pfizer, is already in use in the U.S., Britain, Canada, and other countries. The first vaccinations are due to start in Italy on Sunday, in line with other European Union countries. We'll be back with a final check of the forecast next. Up tonight at 10, more details on how you can help a family in Granby struggling after a damaging house fire. Plus, it's the age-old question, when is the right time to take down your Christmas lights? We ask some locals. And we bring you the latest on COVID-19. Join us for those stories and more tonight at 10. Well, forget a shovel, a flamethrower will do the trick for melting away that pesky snow. I'm not sure how safe it is, but it does look like this guy is having a good time. It definitely looks effective, but I'm going to go ahead and say don't try this at home, folks. And maybe we'll have some snow. Again, we could experiment, but maybe it's safe to have a firefighter or something like that.
We'll just let Clark. Yeah, we'll let Clark Griswold deal with the flamethrower to melt the snow approach, Kate. In the meantime, though, we'll just keep these quiet for tomorrow. Highs are 56, 41 Monday. Then we'll see rain, and if we can get some winter weather our way by Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, thanks, Nick. Thanks for watching. We'll see you right back here at 10.